Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Live from the Sword Coast podcast. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon master this evening. Tonight, we are continuing on our ongoing campaign playing Mongoose Publishing's Traveler Second Edition, and we are playing through the print copy is unfortunately not out yet, but the PDF copy is, so I guess it has been published, playing the Pirates of Drinax mega campaign. With me, as always, on this journey are two of my fellow travelers. I'll go the order that you guys logged in. Jeff, who are you and who are you playing?
Yeah, I'm Jeff, and I don't even remember my character's name. It's been 2 weeks.
Charlie.
Charlie, that's it.
Yeah.
He is a sort of an ex-Marine and a pirate.
That he is. And our second traveler is Steve-O.
Yo, and I'm playing Miltiades Gavros, a intergalactic scoundrel.
That he is. So let's swap over to Roll20. Let me just get myself into the game there. Ooh, that's last week's session. Let's go to, I'm going to try going in Chrome again and see if that continues to work, because that seemed to work okay last time. Let's see here. Oh, Steve-O, I have actually set up an Oriental Adventures campaign in Roll20 for us. So
nice. I love those rules.
Yeah, it's
very elegant rules.
You know, while we're going in, I should mention too. So one interesting thing I saw, they did every quarter Roll20 releases the list of the how many games are played and what games are played and whatnot. And the breakdown was pretty interesting, because it showed that, I mean, not surprisingly, AD&D or D&D 5th edition is like runaway hit. You know, it's like 65% of the games that they had active in the sample size were all 65% of the players, and like 55% of the games were all D&D 5th edition. Pathfinder was about a quarter of that, and then it sort of had a breakdown of the other numbers. But one of the surprising, fairly high-ranking games was AD&D First Edition.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's still a lot, and more games than that were Fourth Edition. Fourth Edition D&D was like about the 6th or 7th game, which was neat. I mean, like and there was roughly around the same amount that was playing each. So it was interesting to see that there is so much and like there were almost as many people playing AD&D as there were playing Star Wars, the Fantasy Flight Star Wars, the one that we played.
Right.
Which is, again, like I think it's neat to see what other what other people are doing with their gaming time.
Sure.
So let's see here. I'm gonna share screens here, guys. Boom. And no, excuse me. I will change my turn my darn camera off here. Camera off. And we lost Steve.
Lost?
Yeah, I lost him from the Google Plus call. And then I will. Oh, did I? You know what? I think I need to update the game. Yeah, there we go. Let's see here. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm working. You're working. Look at that.
Look at that.
What's up?
So if we can get Steve, we can get your camera working in Roll20. We are 3 for 3 tonight. Hey, look at that.
There you go.
Whatever issues they were having with getting the cameras working, they seem to have sorted it out. So congrats to the folks at Roll20. All right. So, guys, where we left things off, why don't you guys tell me what you remember having or happened last session?
We broke onto we snuck onto the pirates' ship that was docked by the shuttle, and all the pirates were out ripping it apart. We broke onto the bridge, and there was one person left there who we assumed was a pirate. But when we told him to take off, he was more than obliged to, and we realized after fleeing that he was a prisoner of theirs.
Yep.
I believe I was just about to go check the hold to make sure that no pirates had been made it on board.
Yes, that sounds right to me.
And I'd like to add something else. Steve, I think we should kill all of the pirates.
It's funny. I was thinking that maybe we should go up to the space station and let them send down sort of a party to collect them.
Yeah, I guess we could do that. I just don't want it getting back to, whoever their boss is, that we were involved or anything. I don't know if they saw us or what. So I don't know how you feel about gunning them down or.
with
as far as I remember last time, their weapons were ineffective against the hull of the ship.
Yeah, they were firing on the ship as it was taking off, and the guy you found chained to the effectively chained to the console was a guy named Paulus.
Right.
Right.
I don't know how you feel about that, Steve.
Pretty cool.
Militides. I don't know how you feel about that, Militides, but I'm a little concerned about the survivors and what information they could bring back to.
Not that I'm Mr. Moral or anything. Yeah, maybe someone would send out a search party for them afterwards.
Paulus is can overhear this stuff because he's you're in the same cockpit as he is. He's sort of like looking back and forth at you guys, and he sort of shrugs and says, "I'm fine with shooting them."
While we are down below making sure that none of them have got on board, do as you will. That's what I say to him.
Understood. And then he gets up. He says, "Although one of you will have to operate the guns because," and he sort of rattles the chain around his ankle. One thing I just want to remind you guys, Jeff and Steve, is that in this particular campaign, in certain. Remember that I'm not doing any like DM parrot stuff through any characters.
Right.
I'm playing the characters accurate to what I've randomly generated as their personalities. So the world might lie to you. The characters might lie to you.
Okay.
So just as I'm not saying this guy is. I just want to remind you that like this isn't like we're creating a story together. This is the different sandbox.
Right. Absolutely.
So, which is why he's going to fucking draw a knife and try and stab you. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I got my bone gun, so I'll just keep it drawn and
It's a bone. Every time you say bone gun, it just sounds like dick. I think it's a body pistol.
Dirty mind. Yes, bone pistol.
I don't think it's called a bone pistol. I think it's a body pistol.
Body pistol. Okay. Yeah.
Your bone pistol is something very different.
That's for the princess.
Yes, really.
In your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
Or at least according to her.
Yeah, really. Okay, so you guys are. So this thing is sort of is going around. It's worth sort of taking this opportunity to maybe talk about how gunnery works on these. So, which is what I'm going to turn to very quickly. I think that it's like Star Wars in the sense that like the guns are operated by gunners. Like you have to if depending on the type of weapon, if it's a turret or something like that, I think that you have to actually man them. But let me just double check that. Sorry, guys. For those listening at home, I apologize for us looking at rules during this. I mentioned to the guys I didn't have a lot of time to prep beforehand, and unfortunately, I didn't take the fucking time to review the rules before I launched tonight. So we'll all be learning together. Maybe that's the way I should have just fucking presented it. Is that hey, we're going to learn this all together at the same time instead of I'm a shitty DM who didn't prep properly.
Should we ask the princess what she thinks?
Well, we haven't picked them up yet. Picked them up yet. So like now's the time to do it without worrying about the repercussions of what the other civilians see.
Okay.
Okay,
that's
so
part of the reason that
you're really
part
keen
of the
on
reason I recommend it.
I was thinking maybe they could provide some intel or something like that. If we got the the space station security to come and pick them up afterwards. And then that way we're not just leaving people to die on the surface, but you want to just blow them away.
You know that this is so. Just as a reminder, the Trojan reaches where this campaign takes place are the fucking Wild West. Like this is much closer to sort of the age of piracy, like the golden age of piracy, where when you're traveling through these regions, when you're trying to trade between the Third Imperium and the Aslan Hierate, you are in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's all sorts of people who want to do horrible fucking things to you or prey on you or whatever. There are degenerate civilizations like where these guys come from Ogma.
Right.
And it's really a matter of, frontier justice out here. Realistically, I don't think that the people on the space station would waste any resources trying to like arrest and prosecute these people. They'll fucking annihilate them, or they'll just leave them on the planet because they're gonna die. They're gonna get eaten by those whatever Garain baits that were trying to eat you guys.
Right.
Yeah. At best, what they might do is go down and shoot them. But even then, like, why would you waste the fuel when they're just going to fucking die anyway?
Right.
So anyway, just to give context to the, if this was in the Third Imperium, like in an actual civilized, system, then you're right, Steve. Like maybe they would want to, go through the process of showing, showing that law has effect and whatever else. But this is the Wild West, the wildest of Wild West out here. So
well, they can't tell on us because they don't know who we are or where we went. I mean, we could just leave them.
Right, but they may have things like, for example, the log from the ship to know which passengers were on there.
Okay. So what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to destroy the ship too?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, let's blow them away. Maybe we can take their guns.
And it's the safer solution, I think.
Just yeah, okay. Closes some loose ends.
Right.
So I'm just reading some stuff here. So what do you guys want to do then?
Strafe them.
Strafe them, okay. So I'm not going to make you make rolls for it now. What the vehicle is, what the ship is equipped with is, I'm trying to go for it'll be something cheap, I think. That's relatively cheap. But it's got to be low tech as well.
Like, I also think we need to get rid of this ship. I don't think we should try and keep this ship. We already have a ship to fly, and it's just going to bring danger to us. And we already have our sort of our payload aboard our other ship. So
well, we can sell the ship then.
Yeah, salvage it or whatever.
Yeah. The functional ship.
You hear a ching ching off the windscreen, and Paulus says, "Are you guys sure you're not getting ahead of yourself?"
All right, we'll talk about this later.
It rocks to the side again. Okay, so as you are as the ship is sort of rocking back and forth, I was just double checking. So I think that this thing is actually only equipped with missiles. Because the missiles are only missile rack is a TL7, whereas and it costs 750,000 credits, whereas the next cheapest or the slightly cheaper thing, is a beam laser, but that's a TL10, which I think is probably beyond their technological capacity.
Right.
So.
Well, we could just drop a couple missiles, I guess.
One missile would fucking annihilate them.
Yeah.
So remember how much damage you guys can take, right? Like when you take damage, it's applied to your characteristics or your attributes or whatever they're called in the system.
Right.
Characteristics. The missiles would do around 4d6 times, I think, 100 against individual targets. So one of those things unleashed on them would vaporize.
Flat.
Yeah. Sadly, I think we should do it.
Very well. Two against one.
Paulus says, well, it's fortunate they're clustered around that shuttle, isn't it? So he
yes,
he activates the screen that has it's sort of like I'm picturing like a holographic display kind of thing, and he flicks something. No, it's actually probably much more crude. So he flicks some console, like it looks like a separate box that has sort of been weirdly wired into the existing console. There's like rough solder or welding marks where it's been cut out so that the wiring and shit can go through it. He hits a button on that, and you hear a and you see this missile fly out and then explode where the pirates were once standing. And he says, well, I think that'll do it, and that way they can't call in any backup either.
All right.
Where to now?
I'll direct him the direction of where our team is to go pick them up.
Okay. So you do that. One thing I'm going to mention, guys, just as a and I'm not going to always do this, but just to give an example of how I'm treating the world as an agnostic, like thing just happened the way they happen. If you guys hadn't killed them, and I didn't even think about you guys turning on them because we hadn't discussed it before, they were going to call in for backup, and you were going to fight another pirate ship in, before you got to civilization.
Yeah, see.
But because you guys did that, there's no one to call them in, so that's just not happening.
Sweet.
So, okay. So, so I think that, why don't one of you guys give me a sensor check?
Sensors.
I think sensors are under electronics. So if you don't have a specialization in that, you can...
I do.
You do? You have a specialization in sensors?
No, computers.
In computers, okay. So then it is just 0 is your skill. So I think that you should have in your character sheet. Let me just double check here, Steve-O. Commander Miltiades.
Thank you for addressing me properly.
Yes, of course. So yeah, you're just going to roll the. You see how you've got a specialization or speciality for electronics with computers.
Yep.
It's just the base one is what you're going to roll.
Just
like the one above that.
No, it is just electronics.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So no banes, no boons.
No banes,
Actually, no. I'm going to give you a boon because you you know where you're going. So. Yeah, I was thinking, so the boon isn't added to it. It replaces the highest, right? So I'm going to see if there's an easier way to interpret this, because this has been, it was a little wonky last time. Let me see. I gotta say, I love the look of these books. It's such a pleasure to flip through them.
Yeah, and they smell good too.
They do smell good, yeah. Okay. Hold on, guys. Skills and tasks. Here we go. I'm just quickly looking up again the boon and bane thing. Oh yeah, extra dice and discards the lowest. So I guess we kind of have to hover and see which it is. So which means +2. So you got a 9, which is a success, because 8 is a success. So yeah, you're easily able to activate the sensors, track down the rest of your party, and you're able to find Princess Rao, her bodyguard, finding Corinne and Evan. So the ship kind of rattles over, and then they sort of you hear over the over your comm because remember you kept each other in touch. You hear from I gotta look up his name again because I don't remember it offhand. It is a weird Egyptian name. It's not I shouldn't say that. It's an Egyptian name, which it just sounds unusual to me. It's not weird. Let's see here. Nebetka messages you and says, "Is that Commander? Is that you?"
And I will respond back in text.
Okay.
It is we. Jump aboard.
Okay. So the ship kind of rumbles, and just as a reminder for you guys and for the listeners at home as well, you are currently on a Far Trader, which looks like that. Actually, it's a free trader you're on, so it's maybe a slightly different color. It has a very crudely grafted missile launcher on board as well too. It's painted with lots of like sort of tribal symbols and stuff like that, and I mean it looks like a pirates. If you can picture what if Vikings had access to a spacecraft, that's what this thing looks like, with lots of carving and laser engraving on the hull to make it look scary and whatever. So you guys go racing over, and it lands. Everyone climbs aboard, and then where are you guys off to?
I guess we should continue on to where we were actually headed instead of back to the high port, unless anyone objects. We still have business on planet.
That's a good point.
Okay. Paulus sort of looks at you guys and says, should we contact them?
The high port?
Wherever we're going. Otherwise,
sure. Right. Yes, good call.
Good. He sort of rolls his eyes. So I'll let you guys. What do you want to do? Well, we can role play through that.
Sure. Charlie picks up the comm and he hands it to Miltiades.
All right. Miltiades. So I radio. Miltiades radios in.
Okay.
Up ahead.
You're messaging, and then you hear back from. This is Marduk Highport. Identify yourself.
This is Commander Miltiades. We have just managed to evade capture by pirates on the surface, and the shuttle has been destroyed. So we're radioing in order to confirm that everything is okay with you as well.
Where are you radioing from?
The surface of the planet. We're on our way to Marduk.
On foot?
We were on foot, but now we have managed to secure some a spacecraft.
You secured a spacecraft from
the pirates. Correct.
Hold. We're not going to role play through it, but there's basically the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes is a really tedious process of you being transferred to a new person, then to another person, then to another person to doubly confirm who the fuck you are, and then for them to track down Harv on the station and have him confirm who you are.
Okay.
So after all of that, they indicate that you are to you're to return to orbit and surrender the vessel to Marduk Highport, and then so they will arrange for shuttle transport. As a reminder, direct transport from the high port to low port is prohibited and will be, regardless of whatever confirmation of your identity we have, it will be met with deadly force. Any deviance from that, those restrictions.
Oh, well. Very well then.
Okay. So what are you guys going to do then?
Guess
take
maybe
the extremely painful journey back to Highport and ride another unarmed shuttle back to this Marduk, I guess.
great idea.
That would be great.
As the DM locks us in a loop.
That would be crazy.
You're almost there, and a missile takes out your shuttle.
Did I say Pirates of Drinax? I meant Groundhog Day.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
Also, the reason I was laughing is I was picturing the what do you call it? The it's like we're playing through Reach Adventure number 1. It would be Reach Adventure 2, Marooned on Marduk again. Reach Adventure 3, Marooned on Marduk still.
Yeah.
Oh, and then 4 would be Son of Marooned on Marduk.
Yeah. Written by the most creative mind. And
yes. Let's go back to the well again.
Yeah.
Oh God. From the creative team that brought you Die Hard 4. So what you're going to do then is you had mentioned that you might want to search the ship as well too, I think, right? So let's turn. I am on page 168 of the core book, and let me find the equivalent for you, Steve. I'm just gonna grab my box set.
There should be some Miltides. This is what Charlie's saying to Miltides while they're looking around the ship. You know, there should be some kind of a reward for us, I'm sure.
To stand in your tippy toes.
Well,
I guess Kevin's that.
Yeah, it probably doesn't help referring to them as your tippy toes either, I guess. But.
Hey, Kev, while we're looking around, Charlie says to Miltides, you know, there's got to be some kind of a reward for this kind of action.
You would think so.
We saved some passengers. We secured this pirate ship. We rid the galaxy of some ne'er-do-wells.
No kidding. We should update the princess anyways. Yeah.
Spacecraft and Worlds, page 45 is what I'm looking at, Steve.
Spacecraft and World 45.
You got it.
People have made movies of less.
Holovids.
Holovids. Right. There are holovids with less heroic tales than of us.
So after you pick up Princess Rao, she's hanging out in the cockpit as well. Nebetka and Charlie, you guys have done a search of the ship. There's no one else on board. You guys really did luck out, and all of those pirates were off the ship trying to scavenge all the shit they can. Turns out there's actually a fair amount of stuff they've scavenged as well.
So we got a load on the ship.
Yeah. Now, yeah, because you've got a semi. I mean, there's at least part of the stuff that was scavenged from the shuttle. Now, rather than trying to think through the legalities of this, because we can't. I am. Just because I'm a law nerd as well as a fucking nerd. I am interested in thinking about, because I think there's a claim for salvage, but there's also a claim that it was never really lost. So you guys are just returning stolen property. But rather than get into that stuff, what I think I'll do is, are either of your characters trained in? There is no law trait. And neither of you are trained as profession lawyer or attorney, or barrister or solicitor or anything like that.
No.
But I think what I'll do is instead...
I do have some experience as a naval officer, but... No.
You do have experience as a naval officer, but I'm not as a JAG officer necessarily.
Right.
Right? Like you're not... I mean, your character did run afoul of the law, or close to it a couple of times.
I know something about the law.
Exactly. It's like a prisoner. I was saying to Jaden not long ago too, when he was talking about, well, I have some friends who have gone through bankruptcy and they were giving me some advice. I'm like, yeah, but that's like someone who's gone through a divorce giving you advice on family law. Like,
Right.
It is not the same fucking thing. So what I'm checking is the trade rules to see what attributes or what skills that uses. I think it'll be the similar thing. Okay, so that uses broker. So I think what we'll do is, rather than going through the legalities, The ship, I think you guys have probably a good claim to. If you're going to make a claim to, like, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to keep the ship necessarily, but if you want to try and offload the ship and get some money for it, you know, there might be, you might have a good claim there. In terms of the salvage that's on board, though, because it's all been taken off of that that shuttle.
That we wouldn't be trying to get any.
Well, I mean,
maybe some reward for saving it.
I'm of two minds, though. Like, I mean, it was shot down. So if the laws are that it's subject to salvage, just like a sunken ship would be, I think you guys might be in the free and clear. I'm going to let the dice decide that one way or the other, because I can think of. Can you guys give me any, like, an idea of what sort of argument Harv might give for that? And I might give that might affect the difficulty of the broker check.
Right, because Harv's our guy, right?
Yeah. Harv's the Varger who works for you, and like the Varger are very you know, looking scavenger, salvager kind of minded.
Well, I mean, I think the argument is if we hadn't come along and rescued it, it would have been lost to the pirates. Like, whoever owns it, the port, or it would have been completely lost if we hadn't come along and rescued it for them.
Okay. And Steve, what do you think?
I think I agree, and also, I mean, it's you know, finders keepers.
Right. Well, we risked our lives to recover this ship and salvage.
Right. We could have left it there. Yeah.
Okay. So let's. So what I'm doing, guys, I'm just turning to in. Oh God, I can't wait to have the physical copy of this. I'm turning to the Pirates of Drinax books, because they've got rules for randomly generating what value that kind of salvage is.
Right.
So yeah, it's just, oh man, I love this campaign. Okay, let's see. Where is it? Pirate loot. Yeah, I love it. One of the types of loot you can get is what's not nailed down.
Nice.
So,
I think that's basically what they were stealing. Oh, they were even cutting stuff out though too.
Yeah, so I think that's why I'll just give. Okay, so let's do this. Let me see what the tonnage of the ship is. Of that ship was.
Let's see if I can tell you.
So it's in. That was a new ship from Marooned on Marduk. So the passenger shuttle is, let's see here, 95 tons. So it's actually not an awful lot on there. And you interrupted the process, so they didn't get the full one. I'll tell you what, why don't you guys give me someone roll 2d6. Actually, just roll 1d10. I mean, a d10 isn't used in Traveler, but we're using roll 20, so it's easy enough to make a d10 roll. 4. Okay, thanks, Charlie. So it's 40%. Okay, so then that means you guys gain. Oopsies. Okay. Times. All right. So the value of this salvage is 1,900 credits.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think you guys are rocking. Let's see here. Down.
We have a credits spot.
I do have it written down somewhere. It's just not amongst the papers that I have in front of me. So
I think we have 124,000.
124,000.
700. is what I have under my cash on hand column.
Okay, so
That's what we didn't spend.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Okay.
well,
We also sold some stuff. Remember?
Yeah, I've got it written down here somewhere, and between now and the next session, I will find it because I know I've got all of our commerce stuff written down there as well.
Okay.
Well, I'll add 1,900 to this number, assuming that it's right.
Well, no. You've got, that's what the stuff is worth. That's not necessarily, you haven't sold that yet. Remember, you have to go through the process of finding a seller and whatnot. That's just the value of that stuff, and that weighs 10 tons. It was 10 tons of cargo. I actually do need to find that list because it's got it will have all the information of how much cargo you got in your haul or in your hold. Let me take a quick look through here. In terms of the ship itself, though, what are you guys thinking you want to do with that?
Well, is the spaceport interested in purchasing the free trader?
You know what? Would you guys take a quick peek through the core book, see if there are rules there for selling spaceships in the section? Because I honestly don't remember.
Should we agree to give a portion to this slave dude here?
Well, let's ask him if it's his ship. Let's ask him where he comes from.
Well, I don't know. Do we trust him?
Not necessarily.
Let's see here. Skills, talents, wonder. Eagles.
Trade.
Trade. 06.
I think it's at near the beginning of the what do you call it? Near the beginning of the starship section.
Is it?
I actually don't know offhand, but I think that's where I saw it before. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to keep looking through. This is why I never throw anything away, is because it.
I know it's maybe a little boring for the viewers, but it's kind of realistic that we would be doing research before we would attempt to sell the ship.
For sure, and this is also, I mean, the nature of a sandbox campaign is that sometimes we just have to, you know, hit the brakes and look shit up to figure it out, because it wasn't necessarily something we were expecting. To be honest, I thought that the session was going to be, most of it was going to be chewed up with a starship fight between you and the pirates, and you guys put that to bed right away. So
nice work, Charlie.
It's figures. I'm glad I didn't spend any time prepping it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not seeing it.
No, I don't see. I see a value for purchasing.
Buying a ship. Yeah.
And there's nothing for selling a ship, eh?
I guess you could use it in reverse. Sort of do like a contested barter based on that. So it's based on the age of the ship, and then it becomes a discount on its value.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm a fucking moron. I'll bet you I had a Word document open for it. Hold on, I'm now that I'm thinking about it, I think I did actually start a Word document. Oh, darn it. Consarn it. Let's see here. Open up the documents.
Now you may want to, add some quirks to this specific ship, and
yeah,
I have it, guys. I do have everything here. Fuck. Okay, so that's good to know. All right, so let's see here. You've got in your hold right now. You have 30 tons of nuclear weapons and 2 tons of biochemical cargo. You now have access. How big is your hold?
on our ship? Well,
Yeah,
don't we have a free trader as well?
With a far trader.
Oh, right, we have a far trader.
No, your actual ship, wasn't it something? Oh, was it a far trader?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. In the Belfie. So the far trader has a cargo hold. Whoopsies, and it just flipped.
64 tons.
Oh, you got lots of space then.
Where does it say that?
Says it on page 166.
Oh, there it is, cargo. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So that's cool. Okay, so you got plenty of space there. So yeah, you can when you return back, I'm just going to add that 10 tons of salvage, and I'll put the value in. So this is now March 5th. So Parv hasn't yet sold, tried to sell his stuff. Because you made a roll to try and sell things. We sort of got ahead of ourselves. One second here.
Right, he was going to work on selling this stuff while we were down on the planet.
Yeah, so that'll happen in the next little while. So here's some things that you now let's take a look at how we sell.
Kev, but what you have written down is is after the transaction.
Yes.
Right
right
what
now,
we originally had was like common crap or whatever you called it.
Yeah, you just had some regular. There was manufactured. I can't remember what it was like raw materials from.
And we sold that and bought the biomedical stuff.
Yeah, Harv purchased on March 13th. Harv purchased 2 tons of biochemical cargo.
Right.
And let's see here.
See, that's where I think this 124,000 credits is left over after that operation.
That's right. Yeah.
And we wanted to keep some of it because we have maintenance. We have to pay harder. We might hire someone else.
Yeah. It's we're saying the first of the end of the month is when everything needs to be paid. So you'll have to pay Harv's salary. You have to pay Sorella's salary. You have to pay the mortgage on the ship and the upkeep.
Right, and it was like quite a bit each month. So
it was a fair. I've got down calculate monthly expenses as a to-do, and now that we've got, I think I can take care of that this weekend because I've got.
The ship itself says maintenance of 4,500 a month.
Okay. Yep. So
I think we were somewhere in the 15,000 range is what we had discussed.
Maybe I think that sounds about right. Yeah, for the salaries of everybody.
Right.
So you guys return from the surface, and now let's take a look at selling the ships. Then I've got the High Guard book, which is like the expanded rules for spaceships. Let's see if there's anything in there about buying and selling ships.
We could sort of also use these 2 tables that they have to come up with an estimated value for it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that there's, I think that this is probably a poorly, like a substantially poorly maintained vehicle because it's sort of, it's
right.
Techno-barbarian.
But some of the parts, like the jump drive and some of the more the nav computer and stuff, like the more valuable stuff, if it's functional, could always be stripped out.
Yeah, absolutely. You could just salvage the stuff out of there. So let's see here. Okay, so older ships, yeah. So, oh, I see here. Yeah, I'm looking on page 164 of the core book, the purchase discount.
Right. So we could just kind of run that in reverse.
Yeah, so I think I think it's more than 100 years old, so it's going to be a 50% discount at least in the value, just because it's it's been maintained by barbarians for quite a while, which brings it down to 2250 ish, 2260. Roughly in mega credits, or 22.6, I guess, in mega credits. Let's see here, but I think there has to be a purchaser who's willing to.
Right, and I mean, I think we're more interested in offloading it, so maybe we would be searching for like half of its value, like 50% off, kind of.
Sure.
Thing.
Yeah.
Because we're not trying to draw a lot of attention to ourselves necessarily.
Yeah.
And two, we just take the quick cash. Like we don't want to sit around here with this ship for months and.
Sure. You know what I will do? Yeah, because you got to pay birth fees for these things as well. What's that, Steve?
You could use the rules for trading, where you sacrifice time to add to your chances of selling.
Yeah, and I think that I think what I'll do, guys, is we will say that takes place at some point, like when it's off camera, and. What I'll do is I'll apply whatever the sale price is against the mortgage of your ship. How's that sound? Or do you want that as walking around cash?
Oh, I see.
Right, so that would make it would put our monthly mortgage down.
Or it would bring you closer to actually purchasing the your ship, like to owning it free and clear.
Right. Sure.
Bring us a lot closer, yeah.
What I might do too is I might just between now and the next session, I'll circulate. I'll post a question on the Google Plus community and see if they've got some suggestions as to how to handle that. Because I'm sure, this is not the first fucking time that someone's stolen a ship from someone, right?
Exactly.
So I'm sure that there is some, and again, because there's no fucking index in the core rulebook, I can't even try and see whether it's referenced somewhere else.
Right, I know it's the first place I looked, but there is no index.
No, it's a little irritating. Well, very irritating. I can't believe they don't have a fucking index in this book. It's just crazy. How is that acceptable?
Now, I mean, I think personally, if I was kind of looking at the rules for this, I would probably base the sell or purchase price of it, just like the goods, sort of depending on the tech level of the area you're in.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If it's hard for them to get spaceships here in this area, they may be willing to pay more for it, essentially.
There is also a problem, because when you guys come back, what you find is that, unfortunately, the Belfi was not... or did not escape the attention of the pirates. So there is damage that was done to the Belfi, and it is to the jump drive. So there are repairs that need to be effected to the jump drive, which will cost some money as well. I'm not going to go into that. What I'll do is I'll crunch the numbers between now and our next session. And we'll correspond. We can email about this as well. And I'll let you know what sort of like the offers are. If we need to make any dice rolls, we can do that on camera as well, so that you're not, we're not doing the trading part of this off camera. I honestly don't know what. I agree with you guys that I think that the way that we're going to figure out what you get for this is going to be rolls based on the trading system. I just don't know if it'll be cash up front or whether there's going to be the other thing I want to consider too is whether there's going to be
it'll be a traveler's check.
Surcharge. What's that, Steve?
It'll be a traveler check.
Let's see here. Well, I'm taking a look at the trading sheet here, and there isn't actually vehicles. Here we go. Let's try. So that's actual vehicles, not not actual assembled starships. Yeah.
Well, why don't we just take some time to think about it and continue on with
Yeah, because I think
shuttling back to the.
You know what? I'm actually pretty close to making up my mind here. Because to be honest, I don't really care if we get it wrong. Who cares? There's been plenty
Right.
of,
Sure.
plenty of places for you to fuck up. And this is the point of the sandbox is we just do shit and then we see how things play out afterwards. So here's what I'm going to suggest is you guys get back. Harv failed a broker roll to try and find. You know what? In future, I need to write down specifically what he was looking for because I don't remember right now. But you guys get back before Harv tries to offload or find a seller or a buyer for some of your other stuff in your hold. So you get back on the 5th, and then Harv tries to offload more stuff, and then you get your cargo. So let's pick it up on March 13th. First off, you guys can restore your attributes or your characteristics back to their normal levels.
Nice.
You've had a chance to recover. You've had a chance to heal up. The rescuers, they're basically for the next week or so. There's a ton of people who are buying you drinks and giving you gifts and shit like that because you guys are the ones who took out one of the pirates. And I think let's see here. I think that you guys are actually going to earn a bounty as well. Just because I think that's really fucking cool. And I think that's absolutely what they would be doing or what would happen. Let's see here. So let's say that your bounty is going to be 5,000 credits.
Nice.
So you guys get a total of, we'll add 5,000 credits to your credit total, which is, brings you up to 129,700. You transport that salvage over, and let's role play through you guys talking to Harv and Sarala. Sarala, remember, she's got that little pet. She's South Asian in ethnicity, and she's very arrogant. So Harv is, oh yes, well the other thing is Paulus. What are you doing with Paulus for the first couple of days?
He's a pilot?
He is a pilot, yeah.
So he's the pilot.
He was the pilot who was chained to the thing, yeah.
Gotcha. I guess maybe we buy him a few drinks and ask him about who he is and where he comes from.
He's originally he's not from Marduk. He was part of a crew that was visiting. I'm trying to remember the name of the system next to Marduk. It is Borite. He's part of a crew that was in Borite. Borite is, just as a reminder, there's the different systems, or the different systems right there. Marduk, Ogma, and Borite. Ogma is where the pirates are from, and Marduk is where you guys are. Borite is where there is mining operations. So he's originally from Borite, or he's originally from elsewhere in the sector, but he was working as part of a crew in Borite, and he was captured. Now, let me quickly roll one thing here.
I mean, I guess some of our questions are if he has a family or a job he wants to get back to, like,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Or if he wants a job.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that would be based on his answers to those kinds of things.
Sure. Let's find out together. Sure. Let the dice do the talking. Where is that section? I got to start tabbing stuff in here so I can find.
Because if he does have a life he wants to return to, we could hook him up with enough money to get home.
Okay. Let's see here. Excuse me. Okay. Give me a D10 roll, a D12 roll, and a D20 roll, will you? So a 10, 12, and 20, please. Yeah, D10, D12, D20, please.
20.
Okay, so it's a 2, a 12, and a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a 5. Interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to get or ask of you guys is to make a I think it'll either be diplomat if you're just being friendly with this guy and sort of letting him talk, or it'll be persuade if you really want to pry and sort of get a sense out of this guy. Either of those I'll let you do, and we can role play the scene as well too. We can do it on the flight back. Like as you guys are sort of like, you can put it on autopilot and it's heading its way up to the station, just like the shuttle. It's going to be a couple of hours before you get up. So you sort of we'll pick it up with you guys in the common area in that in the Far Trader. He's rubbing his ankle, because there's a big wear mark that's around it, I mean, by wear mark I mean like there's a giant fucking wound that is there. And you're giving him, he's really tucking into the food that you guys have found on board, because he just has not really, they've kept him at bare minimums. Talk to me a little bit about what your approach is. Like, why don't we just role play it actually? Like, so you guys are sitting around.
Sure.
Rao, if the other, I'm going to assume the other guys are sort of elsewhere, either sleeping or whatever. I think Evan, Finan certainly are. Corinne is maybe in the room with you. Rao and Nabetka are probably in the room with you as well. So they have things to add to the conversation. They will, but otherwise they'll be silent. So what do you say? He's there. I mean, he sounds like my fucking goblins from Shadow the Demon Lord.
Sorry, what's his name, Kev?
His name is Paulus.
Paulus.
Yeah.
So, Paulus, where did these pirates pick you up?
I was a miner, or I was part of a crew out of Borite, and they got us. They set upon us. They boarded. They took us. They took our ship and all of our cargo. And anyone with training went with them. Anybody.
How long ago was this?
What's the date now? So you give him the like the imperial date. And he sort of like trembles and he's like, that's almost 2 years ago now.
Oh God, that's horrible to hear. Do you have any family or anyone that would be looking for you or worried about you back home?
Give me a persuade, or what do you think, Jeff? Do you think? It sounds to me like you're just being diplomatic, not being.
I think so. We're just trying to be friendly.
Yeah, sure. So give me a diplomacy check, and I'll give you a boon because I think this guy's probably a little emotionally overwhelmed at this point, so he's more inclined to sort of gush to you. Whoa, nice one.
Nice.
Okay. So he sort of, his eyes well up with tears, and he's sort of trembling uncontrollably. Do you say anything, or just wait to see what he does? Because there's a pretty long pause. Like he sort of is a bit in shock right now.
I know it's hard. I've seen what pirates can do to people's lives.
So I'm not going to role play through it just because I just don't want to. He sort of breaks down, and what you get out of him is that his wife was part of the crew. And they were separated almost immediately. Actually, let's see what her position is. I can use Traveler for that.
So she was one of the ones that the pirates deemed valuable then.
Yeah, she had, like me, we were both, you know, we thought this would be a way to, you know, to see the galaxy. She was a doctor.
Oh, wow. When's the last time you've seen her?
He sort of shakes and says again, almost 2 years. They separated us almost immediately. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if she's dead. I don't know what's happened to her, what they've done to her. They wouldn't even let me keep a picture of her. I don't even know if I would recognize her now.
It's a sad story, my friend. It's a very sad story.
He, yeah, he just sort of clams up, I think, after that.
And so maybe later, you know, the next day, or we might continue the conversation and just have left it at that after the first conversation.
Sure. Yeah. So you guys arrive on station. He's got some food in his belly. You know, the station is I think maybe because he was a slave. I mean, there's not really. I don't think there's like a, you know, maybe there's some local benevolent, like a religious order or something, like a religious benevolent society that sort of, you know, gives him enough to have a place to stay for a bit. But it'll actually be on you guys to sort of pay for his housing if you want to help him out. Otherwise, he's sort of on his own. There's not really much of a social safety net in Marduk.
Right. So we asked him if I asked him, have you spent any time thinking about what you would do if you were ever freed from the pirates?
He sort of laughs. He's a little better now. His that big wild beard of his is shaved. His hair is cleaned and pulled back in a ponytail. As a reminder, he's a Caucasian guy with brown eyes and like sort of sandy blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail. And he says, "Well, I have no money. I've got some savings that I think are still secured in a electronic account, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do."
Well, we do have to pass probably by Borite on our way to where we're going in the long run anyways. You know, maybe we can stop by home.
We could offer you accommodation on our ship and food for you know, and some pocket money for in exchange to pilot our ship for us.
His eyes sort of go up and he says, What do you fly?
So we have a far trader docked at the airport here.
And where do you?
The Belfie?
Yeah, the Belfie. It's got, at this point, you probably know that it's got the damaged jump drive.
Right. It's got a bit of damage on it that we've got to repair, but we will be leaving port here, you know, in a month. A month, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on funding. I don't think you have enough money to repair it at this point, but you're with the selling of the ship. It's a happy coincidence that you've got. Again, that was something I had determined well beforehand that was going to happen in the attack. My first thought was that it sets off the nuclear weapons and then vaporizes the starport, but I figured that might not be. I'm abandoning you on a barren landscape, and I've blown up the space station and your starship. So enjoy our sci-fi game.
Marooned on Marduk.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. 2-episode adventure.
So I think that yeah, like he's definitely keen. Like I mean I'm trying to hold on because
I think at this point we could use another crew member. Basically, we tell them we make no promises of any daring rescue missions for your wife, but camaraderie and a place to stay, at least for the time being.
Is the Belfi armed?
Is it? Good question.
No, it's not. Remember?
Right. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. So,
it's something we could maybe also do while we're here.
With those mega credits, we could put something on it. Yeah.
Well, actually, the free trader that we stole is armed with a missile launcher. So rather than sell that, maybe we remove it from their ship and secure it to ours.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you would need a.
Well, I'm a mechanic, so it would just take us some time, maybe.
Well, no, but there would be specific like tools and stuff that and like equipment is what I'm going for that you would need to be able to do that. Like you couldn't by hand move that thing over. You would need some kind of like space forklift or something like that.
Right, but we also need to pay money to get our engine fixed, so we're going to be in a garage or whatever.
Well, there's not the replacement of the jump drive is something that happens inside the ship, whereas the missile launcher would be outside. I think for like absolutely you can install. You can take the missile launcher off the other one and store it in your hold. I'm just trying to think if I think there's probably it'll just be a cost associated with like renting that shit or hiring someone to do it.
Right. So finding someone that we can hire for a day or whatever to help us out.
Yeah, and I imagine like there's there may be a bit of I'm going to make a game of it only because I think there's a lot of people who are in similar boats right now where all of their shit got damaged. So is the station, right, from the pirate attack.
Right.
So it's probably like a post-disaster kind of thing where everyone's scrambling for the same resources.
Absolutely.
But fortunately, you're able to do that, and I dig the idea of you putting the missile launcher onto the ship too. And the High Guard actually has rules for that as well, so I could take a look at that. So I'm going to start my to-do list between now and next session, so I can add missile launcher. Sell.
I mean, I'm guessing that part of the reason Paulus is asking is for fear of being captured again.
Yeah, and so what I was looking at is I was trying to find like an insight style skill here, and I don't really see one. I know that recon is the skill you use for what would be perception in most other games. Just don't know. I don't think that's appropriate for this. Maybe. Yeah, I don't think it's streetwise. Let's see what it says in the rule book for those skills.
Like this is like to try and read.
Yeah, to read Paulus. So I think he's withholding something. Here, let's see what deception targets. Let's just do that.
Maybe deception can work both ways, where you can detect deception or be deceiving.
Deception says recon. This is supposedly recon, so I guess recon is your sort of catch-all thing. So why don't you guys give me a recon intellect check, please?
I hate recon.
You do.
Hey,
but you got a great roll.
That was good, though.
Oh, and so did I.
Yeah, nice.
Nicely done. Okay, so you guys can both tell when you ask what he's going to do, it's clear that he's got like you know he's thinking about going back to Ogma and trying to rescue his wife.
Right. And we don't, if that's what he wants to do is part ways at some point, we're totally, we'll leave on amicable terms at that point if that's what he wants to do.
Maybe we just shouldn't leave him alone on the ship.
Right. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's not a bad thought that he might take the ship and try to go save his wife.
Hmm.
Yeah, good thought there, Miltiades. That's something we obviously talk about away from him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna say that it comes up to around the 13th now. So Harv has purchased those 2 tons of biochemical stuff. You guys have been asking around. We'll fill in what Harv's busy doing that stuff right now. So he can't be used to try and find the materials you need to modify the ship. Let me just see here. Spacecraft options. There's the High Guard gives a ton of new, great new options for customizing the ships and stuff like that. I was actually my plan was to stat out the full pirate ship using the High Guard rules, but I did not have time. I guess between now and the next session I can do that. That might be a good way to learn it as well. Let's see here. Oh, I wonder if it's under repairs, because the game, and for normally, guys, obviously I am fine just to make up rules for it, but because we're playing this as a sandbox, I really would like to try and use the rules as written first, and then decide what we want to change afterwards.
Right. Because
I kind of dig that. We were talking about this last time too. Because we were applying the rules religiously as written, that made your success on that lockpick skill so much more sweet. Right, knowing that. 'Cause remember when you picked the lock to get onto the spacecraft there, Jeff?
Right. Yeah.
That was way cooler, just because it was there was a very real chance of failure.
Absolutely, it was quite scary, actually.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, here we go. Facilities. These are the starport's repair and construction ability. Cool. Okay, so here we go. So the starport on Marduk is a C, which means it can repair. Yeah, so you're fine. You've got there are repair facilities on board here. And has plenty of spare parts for the most common systems. So that's great. So yeah, I think you absolutely can gain access to the stuff you need to swap over the missile launcher. So let's make that. I feel like there's probably rules for that in High Guard, because it'll tell us how long that'll take you to do. I guess the reason I want to know that is because I'm interested in whether you're going to focus on that or whether you're going to go down to the surface and see. Was it Amanda? Is that her name?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to do that.
I think we should do that first because, her name's Amy.
Amy, all right. Amy Douglas, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because so maybe what we'll do is knowing that there's all this other nonsense you need to deal with, and Harv still is busy, wheeling and dealing on his own, and you found as well too. So this is about 3 days afterwards. Harv comes back, and you're thinking of is we got to sell this fucking ship somehow, and we've got to repair the jump drive, and we have to. Offload, figure out how we're going to sell these fucking nuclear weapons that are in there. It does come up, that how are we going to handle that discussion with Paulus if he's going to be a crew member?
Yeah, right. Well, we don't necessarily have to break that to him right away.
No. So Harv is going to this is sort of you guys meeting on board the Belfi maybe, and he's saying like, look, I'm going to try and find something else. You know, we haven't been successful finding shit, but I can find us more cargo. So he's going to spend the next couple of days doing that. If you want to go to the surface and finish what you came here for, you know, there's plenty of work to be done up here. Sorella can try and help with the repairs. He's got a line on this cargo, and then after that, he can try and focus on trying to sell the ship. Because both of you guys, I think, are ass at broker. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah, we are. We're not ready for that. Yeah.
So, well, I mean, here's something else to consider, guys. Is that one of the things that's very cool about playing this kind of game is that there are tons of hirelings out there as well. If you wanted to hire a broker, you know, or like effectively like a starship salesperson, you know, you could try and locate that, maybe hire them, and then get them to focus on that for the month. You pay them whatever their commission is, and they focus on trying to offload the thing.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So again, unfortunately, locating that will be a streetwise or a broker role, and I don't think you guys are so it's a list of things that Harvard's going to have to do. But when he gets back from locating the cargo, so why don't we slip this in then? Is in the 5 days between when he failed his first broker role and when he finds and purchases that that biomedical cargo or biochemical cargo, why don't you catch another shuttle down to the surface?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Okay. So, yeah, and I think there's probably, once you got yourself back up onto the back to the high port, you had a chance to talk it over with Amy. She's been quite busy as well too. She was busy beforehand because remember that Judico runs both the high port and the low port.
Right.
So she's been really fucking busy dealing with that. There were pirates that attacked the low port, but the reason she wanted to talk to you was still there. You know, it's the opportunity is still there, and she thinks, you know, having heard what's going on right now, I think that you know, the 3 weeks that I offered you before, you're going to be able to make good use of that. And you will be in contact with your ship during that period. So if you need to, you know, be involved or make any decisions for the cost of repairs or any shit like that, then you will be in touch with the ship.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So then you climb into another passenger shuttle that looks very much like the one that you went down in before. Is there anything else that that you guys want to? Oh, I should say as well. So if you want to keep the shotgun and the rifle that you guys salvaged too, there's no one to take them away from you. You can't bring them on.
Right, we can't bring them back to planet.
Well, you can bring them back to the spaceport. You couldn't transport them. You'd have to put them in a secure container to move them from that pirate ship onto your own ship. But you can keep those if you want.
Sure.
Okay, sure.
Okay. You've only got whatever ammo you had with it before, but you could always, you know, that's another thing you could do while you're in the high port is try and purchase some shit. You know, get some ammo. Is there anything you guys want to do during that that like 3 or 4 day period before you head back down to the Marduk surface?
I mean, other than like arranging as many of these things as we can, having these conversations with Paulus, that's really all I can think of.
Okay. So yeah, and resting up and getting yourself fit, you know, well again. And getting your clothes mended, because I think they're probably quite dirty by the time or ripped or stained with blood. You don't ever hear from Finan again, but you do hear from Evan, who sends you like a wave or effectively an email saying, you know, thanks so much. You know, if you ever, I'm trying to remember where Evan is located actually. this will be important because you will actually know someone. You'll know a Vargar lawyer now who let's see, oh, wrong guy. He is from, sorry. Emisa in the neighboring Tobia sector. He's, yeah, so I mean, if you ever find yourself on Emisa, he insists that you look him up so he can express his gratitude on, you know, in a proper way.
Cool.
The princess as well is in that imperious sort of way that princesses can. She expresses her her gratitude as well, somewhat begrudgingly. Would you guys both give me another recon check, please? Steve, your favorite?
Recon.
Recon. 2.
Oh, I did okay.
So, oh, and you rolled really poorly. So, Miltiades, what you take from this is that the princess, when she's saying goodbye, is coming on to you in a big fucking way.
I've been waiting for this.
You were like, I knew it was coming. Charlie, you give get a more accurate read of her, which is that there is a, I guess, like a, not a grudging, but like a reluctant, no, it's not reluctant. I'm trying to think of the proper way to express this. There is a subtle way that she seems to be interacting with you guys now, where she is impressed. Where there's sort of a, you know, a contact, and she makes a point of saying that the court shall be in touch. The court of my father, King Oleb the Fourth of Drinax, and she gives the full, you know, legacy, or excuse me, you know what? Since I've got it at hand here, give me a sec. I can give you the full titles here because it is pretty cool. Her father, who is, where is he? Where are you? Here we go. King Oleb the 16th, Emperor of Sindal, Lord Admiral of the Star Guard, Protector of, and then she sort of goes on and on and on. She is, his court shall be in contact, and will express our gratitude appropriately at that point. She does make a point of actually shaking your hands as well, which Steve, again, Miltiades takes as she's fucking wants me, you know, and Charlie, you recognize as a big, you know, royalty touching commoners is a big deal. So there's something that's coming, or there's something to that. So you certainly have a nose for opportunity. So seeing that the royalty from somewhere has expressed you know, quite extensive gratitude to you is really something. So turning to the planet, what you guys, the ride down is a little stressful. Again, and of course, every little bump that you hit in atmosphere is, you know, a tense moment of you checking to see. There was probably a bit of a delay because I think that maybe the shuttles may have been damaged in the attack as well. So you guys make your way down to the low port. And what the low port looks like is effectively it's an island, and it's a what do you call it? A man-made island. So it's an artificial island where a sort of a fairly large central structure is built. A big it's got that drab gray prefab kind of look to it. There's the GeoDeco symbol clearly on the side of it. GeoDeco again being the General Development Corporation, which is the mega corporation in the Trojan Reach. And then there's a settlement that's sort of spread around this thing as well. You guys land there, and you can see that there's about half the people have the same coloring and look as what Kareen did. You may remember that Kareen was a local, Marduk resident. But otherwise, there's a variety of different faces, skin tones, eye colors, and so forth. The same kind of diversity that you see in any of the major starports. The atmosphere here still has that really unpleasant tang to it, I guess. So you wear your rebreathers to leave the shuttle and to make your way to the main complex. Everything is basically connected by either tunnels or through like effectively +15s, like heightened walkways. And there are sealed vehicles that seem to make their way around on the roads as well. You guys make your way to the big spire because that's where Amy is going to be meeting you. And after a bit of bureaucratic gatekeeping, you guys find yourself in the waiting room outside of Amy's office. And describe for me when the door opens, Jeff, what does Amy look like? She's probably around your age as well, your character's age. So,
yeah, what does Amy look like? So let's see. How old is my character again? 48.
Yeah, 46.
Yeah, so she's quite an older girl. She's got dark black hair, sort of maybe shoulder length, moderately pretty. And sort of, she looks like she's in charge.
Okay. If you were going to cast her, can you think of an actress who would look like her?
I don't know if I have anyone that I pictured. Maybe sort of...
Because Hollywood doesn't cast women in their 40s.
Maybe like Sandra Bullock kind of look.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. So she answers the door and sees you, and there's a big smile that goes across her face, and she says, "Charlie, you made it." And she walks over and gives you a big hug. And she looks and she says, "And who's your friend?"
Oh, this is Miltiades.
And she extends her hand, in a business-like kind of way. Says, "Miltiades, I'm Amy. I am Amy Douglas." And she gives her title. It's like vice president of development and whatever. It's some nonsense corporate sounding position. She says, "Please, if we could, we can take the meeting in my office." And she leads you guys in. The office actually has a pretty beautiful view of, or at least as nice as it can be, of Marduk. It's still very overcast and still, pretty drab, but the view of the ocean is kind of nice. It's raining again, as seems to be always the case here on Marduk. And she says, "So, you didn't, Charlie, you didn't really have the best welcome to Marduk."
No, certainly not.
"I'm sorry for the timing. You certainly made an impression on my colleagues on the station, and I hear that you saved a princess."
Yeah, we did actually.
"I knew that you had a little white knight in you, but I didn't think that you'd be climbing towers and saving princesses, though. At least not the Charlie that I knew."
No. It's a bit of a different phase of my life, so to speak.
It is. Miltiades, how do you and Charlie know each other?
Oh well, we met performing some business together a while back.
Our eye kind of arcs up. Business, eh, Charlie?
Yeah, business. We certainly have some business on the go now.
I'll bet. Well, I appreciate you taking time to meet with me. And I apologize again for the trouble that this has caused for you to get to the planet. I certainly hope that that you'll find my proposal to be, well, Charlie, I just feel it was a right fit. I heard that you were in the neighborhood. I was approached by someone. Tell me, Charlie, are you aware of a man named Maris Inar?
The name doesn't ring any bells.
I don't think there's any. Your character would have never been exposed. She says, well, Maris is an anthropologist. He specializes in the cultures and the history of Marduk. Given Jidiko's interest and long-term investment in Marduk, and given the planet's past history, it's something that the corporation values. One of the areas that he particularly specializes in is in so I'm trying to think of the way to phrase this, the indigenous religious beliefs.
Interesting.
How much do you know about the population of Marduk?
Almost nothing.
Well, after the Sindalans bombed Marduk, bombed and artillery strike, or artillery struck the all trace of civilization from the planet, or from the mainland. The only civilizations that really thrived were those living on the islands. They are an extremely xenophobic and difficult to understand people, given the natural divergence of their languages from Galanglic. But Maris studies that, and one commonality he has found is a belief in the sea gods.
Interesting.
The inhabitants of Marduk believe that there are gods living beneath the sea, and that they have saved many of those. The belief is that the benevolence of these gods is what allowed the inhabitants of the islands to thrive, where the other inhabitants and survivors from the Sindalan strike fell into anarchy or extinction. Now, the reason I mention Maris is because, you see, Maris is looking for a crew. He needs someone a crew for his ship. He has funding to take a ship and submarine and a crew, and to search for evidence of these sea gods. Now, Charlie, I know that life has taken you into many places that you didn't expect it to, but I know how badly that your luck has been in the last little while, and I thought that this could help me look good for my bosses at Judico by supporting Maris's enterprise. I can't think of anyone better qualified to assist him with this. But also, I thought this would be good for you. You always talked about the sea and getting back to it.
Yeah.
And I thought that maybe a break, some gravity underneath your feet, that might be something. A change of scenery may help you right your luck again. And you can see her eyes are sort of, very warm towards you. It's clear that she's not approaching it because she's trying to get, she could have hired any number of local whatever else to help with this. It's something that she specifically waited to see if you would help her with that. And more to the point, so that you could get the help by going back to sea again.
Yes, I would definitely be interested.
Well, he, first off, she says, and she gets a big grin. She says, I hoped you would be. Now, Miltiades, I don't know anything about you, but I take it that if you and Charlie are partners, that you may need more convincing than just getting a chance to get salt air in your nostrils again.
Well, I assume it's clear that we don't work for free, but it would be refreshing to take a little time in the ocean.
Well, what Maris has offered is 5,000 credits plus a small expense account for the 3-week contract for the duration of his expedition. For the duration, I'll pay any boarding or any docking fees that are required for your ship. The accommodations for any crew members that are not taking part in the expedition are, again, covered as well.
So we would make 5,000, pay our expenses, and pay our crew, and it would give our crew some time to fix the ship.
If the ship's as banged up as you said, and there's many of them in orbit, I understand, that will give them, that'll certainly give them the opportunity to do that. Put more plainly, Charlie, I don't think you've got anywhere. You're not going anywhere anytime soon anyway. So
yeah,
this may be a good way to make some use of your time as well.
Well, I'm interested. I guess it's all up to Miltiades here. If he wants an adventure, I say we do it.
Heck, what else am I doing? Why not?
Good man.
She says good. She says perhaps a toast. A toast to set things off on the right footing. She heads over to her bar and she pours a couple drinks for you guys, brings them over, and then raises a toast and says, to your success, to anthropology.
Sounds good.
To anthropology.
So you guys clink, you take a drink, and outside the driving rain hits against the windows, and you can see the tempestuous seas lying out before you. So, we're a little bit early, guys, but I think that maybe that's a good place to sort of put a pin in it rather than trying to just fill time with. I'd like maybe to start next session with you guys meeting Maris and, kicking off that actual expedition.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Okay, so for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of somewhat abridged episode of the Live from Sword Coast podcast. We hope you have enjoyed us looking at a bunch of rules and otherwise doing some of the downtime stuff that we normally do. But if, as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding this session or the game or the campaign in general, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and we will endeavor to respond in a timely format. Otherwise, we'll see you back in another 2 weeks' time as the guys set sail to try and find the gods of Marduk.